Okay, good afternoon or morning, I'm not really sure. I decided to change the pace a little and make it a little bit more interactive this time. So let's go with the interactive part of the user experience design. Let's see. Let's start. What are we doing now? We're going to look at some practice activities. We're going to look at what is user experience. Why is user experience so important, and how can we design user experience? Also, who practices user experience design? Now, let's see. Perhaps what we can do is we can go around the room and each person should perhaps tell us a few things about themselves. Like, what is your name? What do you do these days? Why are you taking this course? And please tell us a few nice facts about yourself. Why do we do this? Because for us, user experience is about people. User experience are people because we design for people. User-centered design means to have the person in the center and we design for that person. It's just like the planets spin around the sun, we design around the user. So let's begin. Let's start with a nice simple practice. The key objective here is really to try and bond with your classmates by building a product for them. This way we can explore the basics of the iterative design process. So, first thing, interview your peer about the needs in a wallet. A simple wallet where you put money in. We call this experience the redesign the wallet experience. Evaluate the current design and content of the current bag and take notes. So keep this talking. Don't just assume. You need to write down things because that is data. Data is the most important thing that you can have nowadays. Now, redesign and reorganize based on your peer interview. Write or draw your ideas. So start to come up with what you think is important. For example, for me, if I look at my wallet doesn't have a coin compartment. I hate it. Perhaps I need a wallet which does hold that. But sometimes we just go for what is available on the market. So you probably want to try and instead create something that doesn't exist yet. So explain the suggested design to your peer and try to get their feedback. Now, iterate, so it means go through the design again with a small change and ask your peers again, what do you think about this? And do that until you run out of time or you're happy with what you have built. Now summarize what you have found. Congratulations, you just practiced the iterative process of design. So an iterative process is when you continuously go around the circle. So we don't always know exactly which is the starting point. Generally is the idea. But right now you already have something. So we can say that we can start with a design. A prototype with certain features. We go and test that prototype. We then refine that prototype. We give it to the user and we say, what do you think about it? Or maybe we take videos of the user while he's using it. And then if we're happy with it, that's our product. Otherwise, we continue in the circle on and on until we're done. So let's go again. What is user experience now? Try to describe an experience that you love. What is it? Why do you love it? And what is your favorite part? So let's see. For me, a good experience would be play video games on my phone. I play some card games, and it is something that I really love to do. I love it because I play the paper card game, so I like the fact that I can now play all the time, everywhere. What is your favorite part? The fact that I can do that anywhere I want. So what is user experience? Experience design is the design of anything independent of the medium or across media, with human experience as an explicit outcome and human engagement as an explicit goal. So that's what it is. It doesn't matter what it is that we are trying to build. It's about whether or not our user is going to be happy. Let's think about a person who likes to take photographs. What is the best way for that person to showcase her photos to the world? Probably a blog or something like a Facebook page, or anyway, an online page. But that is our idea of it, based on our experience. Maybe that person does not like to be online and she just wants to have her private page somewhere else. Maybe she wants everything to be printed. So as you can see, it didn't work out because it's about making that particular person happy. That is why we need to know what makes the person happy. So user experience encompasses all aspects of the end user interaction with the company, its services, and its products. You will find Donald Norman's quotes pretty much everywhere. He has lots of books and lots of quotes about user experience. Let's have a look at some of the good user experiences. So, what is a good user experience? In this case, Amazon. Perhaps in your case, Taobao. So what is a user experience here? Is the ability to get your packages delivered to you. Have a look at this one instead. On the left-hand side, you have what? Eating your breakfast. That is the user experience. On the right-hand side, you have the spoon. And that is your UI, because that is what you use to interact with the user. And this comes a little bit easier. So you have the user interface, which is the spoon. You have the content, which is the Cheerios or the cereals. The two put together is your user experience. If we look on the right hand side, we can see that user experience is different from user interface. That's because it is about, once again, happiness for the user. The two bottles, they can both hold a liquid, but one of them is better than the other. That's because it's focused on the user experience. The other one is just focused on solving the problem without thinking about the user. And that's the problem that we normally have. So here we have another example. So this may not be as straightforward. This is the squeegee sauce dispenser. It was actually invented in Australia. So how does this work? It's simple. You squeeze it together and sauce comes out of a little hole. And it seems extraordinary, but this is what changed how a lot of food now gets delivered, because it's much easier to put the sauce on than if you had the small bags. And also because of the design, it is much more complex than the usual bag of ketchup or tomato sauce. So you have a reason to ask for a premium from your users. Let's have a look at this. What does the first switch mean? Off. Does it mean that it is off? doesn't mean that if I click it, it will go off. And the same goes for everything else. So this is probably not the best way to have an interface. So we can try to think of other things. So this one, for example, is more complex, and this requires for the user to be well instructed on how it works. Unless you know exactly what this is, you probably get very confused, which is why you need to think about your design. And now we're going to look exactly at what is the usual process behind design. So this is the design process. First of all, we go broad, we go wide, and that's a discovery. That's where we go out and we try to find all the information we can. Then the second part is we try to define. We try to understand better. We try to say, okay, so this is a very large problem. What is the simplest way to solve it? And then we go and develop it. But when we develop, we try to come up with many different solutions, maybe 4 or 5. One of the biggest things that we can do is use the Crazy 8, which is about designing 8 different solutions and then try to choose one or iterate through one. The final part is to converge and choose one of them, and that's where we deliver. So the left-hand part is about making the right thing. The right-hand side instead is about making the thing right. So first we find out what it is that we are trying to build, and then we build it right. So how do we design the user experience? What most people think UX is. Most people think about interface and just the visual design. But this is the truth about it. Is field research, face-to-face interviewing, product design, feature writing, graphic arts, interaction design, and so on. So there is definitely a lot more. What I think I do, what I actually do, is so, and from the designer's perspective, UX is, and this is probably the best one, a very complex mechanism where a lot of things meet with one another. As you can see, that UX is in the middle, but there's so much that touches it. Marketing communications, business plans, performance, consistency, simplicity. It's all about the things that you have. So it's about the 3 big things: the functionality, the business part, and the look and feel. You need to have functionalities to develop a product. You need to market that product, and the people have to be happy when they use it. So these are the 3 big things: how people feel, what people need, and will people buy it. And this is instead some of the more process of how they interrelate with one another. So you can start, for example, from the content creation, and you go around and try to touch all of the parts. So this is quite complex, and it probably makes more sense that you sit down and you look at all of the different parts. This is theoretical, so please have a look and try to think if there is one part that you really like to be in this section. When we design the user experience, this is the more layered version that we use to describe, especially if we go into web design or into web application or web solutions. We need to think about the visual design, the interface design, the interaction design, the functional specifications, and the user needs. And on the other side, we need to think about more on the information side of things, And that's what we think about the data and how we structure the data and how we make that data available to the person. So on one side, we are task oriented, which is we help the user achieve what he wants to do. On the other side, we know what they want to do, but we need to manage how the information is actually delivered. So why is UX so important? It's so important because it's about money. If we can save money, then our managers will be happy. That's the basic part of it. There are things in marketing that we try to do. We try to build what the user wants. This way, we know that they'll buy it. It's very simple. In the 50s, we tried to solve the problem by using marketing, by making more advertisement. It's not about making what the user need. We made the user need what we made because we told them that they need it. We said, you need this, go buy it. Instead, what we did this time is to start from the user and create something that they really want, that they really need. So we create the right product at the beginning. And there you go. So you can see underneath on the X, you can see the number of features and you can see the user happiness. Think about, for example, Microsoft Word or any application to write. They have a huge amount of features. How many of those do you actually need? So do you really need all of them? Maybe not. So if you see Google Docs and then you see something similar to Google Doc and Microsoft Word, Google Docs has a lot less features. And a lot more people are going towards Google Docs than they're going towards Microsoft Word. Why? Because they want to have a small number of features instead. Who practices UX design? The design team for sure. The user researcher. The information architect. The interaction designer. The visual designer. The front-end developer. The content strategist. The product manager. And, well, that's who practices it. But why is so important nowadays? Why is UX becoming such a predominant thing? It's because now we have a lot of startups. Startups are small companies that try to solve one problem for a particular set of users. And that's why they really care about the user experience. So by having good user experience or user designer, you can try to create the right product for the user. And you're going to save money and time. So you're going to conduct user research, design the workflows, write the copy, create hi-fi mockups, write the front-end code, and run usability tests. And this will allow you to create a product much more quickly than if you instead just went out and used the old model of build what you think is right and then give it to the users, market it to the users, sell it to the users. Anyway, we're looking for unicorns. The best UX designers are T-shaped. They have a good understanding of different components that make up a UX, so they know a lot of things, and have a general business and design experience, and have deep specialization in one discipline of industry. It means that they have a lot of tools that they can use, and it also means that they have a specific knowledge about one specific discipline. So for example, if you work as a UX designer in the insurance industry, you still use a lot of the tools that most designers use, which is, for example, personas, design thinking, design studios, user mappings. So all of the designers use that, but you also have your specific knowledge about your field, in this case, insurance, and that is extremely sought after. Okay, thank you.